And we'll be joined by Dr. Kwame Asante, political scientist with the University of Ghana. Also, Suleiman Abrahima is Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. And Thomas Ojo is Associate Professor, Transport Planning at the University of Cape Coast. Gentlemen, good morning to you and thank you very much for joining us. Now, as we do always, we give you a maximum of 2 minutes to tell us your reflection even before we get into the paper. So I'll start with you, Dr. Kwame Asante, if you're there.
Yeah.
Great.
Kojo, good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning to my colleagues as well as Ghanaians who are watching us. This morning, I want to look at the issue of Elimina water crisis. We all know the cause of this, and it's creating a big problem for our people out there. People are now struggling to have access to potable water simply because of illegal mining activities. It is my hope and prayer that this government will put 8 foot down and make sure that this problem is fixed once and for all. I know what government has put into place and it's working, but we need more, because so far as we continue to have scarcity of water and all manner of problems relating to this menace, then it tells you that there is a problem that we need to fix and fix forever. Yes, so I will urge this government to continue to fight against Galamsey, and then we'll make sure that we make water available for our people out there. Water is life, and without water, nobody can survive. That's my message for this morning.
Okay, all right. I see Suleiman Abrahima there. So
but Kojo, before I move on, I'm getting some feedback in my machine, so please help us out.
Okay, I hear. Mr. Abrahima, let me come to you, a maximum of 2, to give us your reflection before we get into the papers.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. I think the problem that Asante is having with his echo is about with me. I think I will also touch the same issue that Dr. Asante touched on. Yesterday, actually, we are having a multi-national conversation about the Galamsey. So, as part of countering polarization and building national dialogue, we've convened a number of stakeholders, includes
Mr. Abrahima, your light keeps, it comes up and then it goes down again. I don't know, maybe, I know what's happening, but let's take it again to see if it's okay now.
Well, I think that's the same problem as Dr. Asante was speaking. There was an echo.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's the same.
Well, we'll try and rectify it and then we come back to you. Let me bring in Professor Ojo. Prof, let's try and see if yours is a bit better. Give you a maximum of 2 minutes to tell us what you think you want to talk about before we even delve into what the papers are reporting. So it could be any issue of national concern or in your locality that you feel that the nation must hear about before we get into the papers. Professor Joe, if you can hear me, kindly unmute so we hear you.
Thank you very much, my brother. And good morning to you.
I can hear you.
I'm also getting the same feedback as my colleagues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So good morning once again. Yeah, I say good morning to your esteemed listeners and viewers wherever they are. The thing I want to talk about is the DVLA debacle. When the DVLA CEO visited the Public Account Committee, and a question was posed to him, and I think thereafter something happened, but I must commend the DVLA boss for the composure used in addressing the issue. Yeah, I want to situate his response in the Road Traffic Act and the Road Traffic Regulation, where Section 10, subsection 1, 3, 4, and 5 summarize the mandate of DVLA. That's to say that there are two forms of vehicle registration numbers. The first one is the standardized format, which you and I know about. And the second one is the personalized identification mark. That is the customized plate number where you see the person's name being written there. See, these two forms are designed to uniquely identify each vehicle. The number plate may look like a name of a person, but it's never so. Then the second question, which Madam wanted to find out, is with respect to the embedded chip or technology, which DVLA is to launch in 2026, which is what we call radio frequency identification. Countries like Indonesia, Honduras, and Russia, Turkey have entered this. The main benefits of applying this RFID, which the developers wanted to explain. One is with respect to helping to automate our toll collection, and also to enhance security, improved enforcement, that whenever a vehicle owner is being accosted or is being found wanting, the person can be easily identified, unlike the former system. So I think this is actually a further explanation that can make about the debacle between the developers and Madam Ose. Thank you very much.
All right. I'm grateful to you, Prof. Ojo. Let me come back to you, Mrs. Brima. Let's try if your line is rectified now, so you can have your reflection.
I mean, as I was listening to Professor Joe, I think it was in West, and I don't know if it's going to be the same. I don't know what's happening. So I was touching on the illegal mining issue, and making the point that we've actually convened a multi-stakeholder process in Koforidua. This brings together the National Peace Council, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Environment, Science and Technology, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources, the Trades Union Congress, the Christian Environmental Protection.
Let's take a quick break to rectify the challenges we're encountering, and then we'll come back to you with the news review. Please don't go away.
All right.
Welcome back to the AM show and to the news review. I guess that we've rectified the lines. Let me try again with you, Mr. Suleimana Brima. Let's see if the lines are okay. I hope everything is okay at your end.
Yes, it is. All is well.
Hello, Mr. Brima.
Can you hear me?
Okay. We'll try. Mr. Brima, do I have you?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you from my end, but if I'm sure my technical guys can hear you. So let have your reflections. You're talking about the illegal mining and its impact on people having water or not.
Yes, I hope Dr. Asante and Professor Joe can hear me. If that's fine.
Sule,
Yes.
you are clear. I can hear you clearly here.
Okay,
Right.
all right,
It's
that's
better now.
fine. So yes, I was making the point that we have convened a multi-stakeholder national level dialogue in Koforidua, bringing together almost all the relevant actors that you can think about: the Environmental Protection Agency, the Forestry Commission, the ministries of environment, ministries of lands and Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the two parliamentary select committees, Environment, Science and Technology, and Lands and Natural Resources, the religious groups, the Christian Council, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, the Office of the National Chief Imam, TUC, UTAG, NCCE, they are all here, plus academics and non-governmental organizations that work within the environmental sector. And the purpose is to say, look, can we for once put aside the blame game in terms of the politics? And I'm happy that in yesterday's conversation, the MPs who are here from the two parliamentary select committees, from both MPP and NDC, do admit that it is time to put aside the blame game and really focus on a realistic solution to the problem. And the expert presentations that we had here clearly paints a very damning picture that if we are not careful, we are basically looking forward to an apocalypse, not just in terms of the environmental destruction and the water situation that we keep talking about, but also the human health. And we may get to a point that one day we may just be hearing about hundreds of people dead from renal diseases, kids who are born without limbs, and all the things that we keep talking about. So it's a very, very devastating situation. But I think in all this, two critical institutions have been highlighted as perhaps the ones that can lead us into a solution. And this is about the executive, headed by His Excellency the President, and our chiefs. And I at this point would even believe that our chiefs perhaps have much more to do than even maybe the politician. I honestly believe that some of our very, very influential chiefs are revered chiefs, the chiefs that we really hold in high esteem, if they were to get up one day and say, hey, enough is enough, no more illegal mining or even mining on my land, whether people have concessions, whether people are doing large scale, small scale, or medium scale, if some of these chiefs were to get up to say, look, for the next 1 month, I don't want mining on my land. Even if you are an Anglo Gold or a Newmont or a Pesos Mining or whatever it is, I believe that you have no choice but to pause. And so I think we should really engage with our chiefs more so that we can have them save us. Otherwise, the way things are going, and the same, people will point to the fact that, look, once the chiefs are involved or chiefs are abetting and chiefs are either conniving and chiefs are allowing it, the politician can do nothing, And so I think it's a very critical situation that we face, and we would still appeal to His Excellency the President to engage with our chiefs, because the shoot and kill and all of those things, we've moved from Operation Vanguard to Operation Halt to now NIMOS. Look, the more we have these operations, the more the Galamsey crisis get worse. It's as if more operations lead to more Galamsey, and it's not going to work. What is going to work is being honest with ourselves, being sincere with ourselves, and saying, look, enough is enough, and all actors coming on board to say, let us get off this thing at least once and for all.
Mr. Brahma, how hopeful are you that with honesty and bringing the chiefs on board, we can really win this fight? We're just talking about it. Because this has been quite a long time.
Yeah, you see, the good thing is that the people who must act will tell you that they know the problem. So the politicians, the MPs who are here, for example, are being candid and honest. And I can understand them. They say, look, you go to the constituency and the people with the money are the Galamseyers folk, the Galamseyers. So if the church is organizing, is it what do they do? Affordable in tree, as they say. They are organizing. Is it a fundraising? They want
fundraising.
Harvest sessions.
Yes, harvest session. The biggest donors are the people, the Galamseyers in the community, and the MPs would say, look, we sit there and we feel embarrassed because the Galamseyer will come and give out 100,000 cedis. You, the MP, all you can give is maybe your 10,000 or your 5,000. And MPs are even talking about a situation where if you dare fight it, they will sponsor your exit. I mean, they will sponsor for you to lose the next election. So this is the situation. And I'm saying the people who can deal with the issue are the chiefs. I don't want to mention specific names, but we all do know that there are chiefs in this country that when they pronounce that from tomorrow or from next week, if you think you own the land, go and do Galamsey. But if you know I am the owner of the land, I am saying that from tomorrow or from next week, no mining on my land. And it will happen. But otherwise, the rest of it is just talk. NPP would say it's NDC. NDC would say it's MPP. The truth of the matter is that once MPP exited, there was just a swap. NDC folks, were now the ones in the pits doing the Galamsey all over. We've pointed to evidence in places like Pristiahuni Valley, where NDC folks, supported even by their MP, and this is a public knowledge. Yeah. And the folks are still there mining. Electricity Company of Ghana disconnects power from the site. They go and fix the power themselves and threaten that anybody who comes there will be dealt with. So are we saying that the chiefs of Pristiahuni Valley are not aware? The mining in Mansour, Dubia, and all those places, are we saying that the chiefs there are not aware and even the bigger chiefs are not aware? I think they are all aware. And so for me, as I said, it's about being honest with ourselves and speaking truth to power and saying that, look, enough is enough. President Mahama, if he wants to resolve the Galamsey crisis, yes, it is complex. It's going to be difficult and all of that. But why? He has DCEs on the ground. Are we saying that the DCEs in the mining areas don't know that Galamsey is happening? Must it take 9 months in Accra, the military command in Accra, to now discover places where mining is happening? Are we saying that yes, every district there's a DCE, there is a NIB officer, the national security officers are spread across the country. Don't they know? So it's about the dishonesty and the greed and this whole thing about quest for money, at the expense of anything, even if the environment will be destroyed. And I think sometimes the very weird mindset that people have is that, oh, after all, if I make money and the environment is destroyed, I can even move my family abroad. Mm-hmm. I can decide to go to Europe. I can decide to go to Canada. I can decide to go to the US. And of course, I mean, if ordinary people are thinking this way, you cannot blame them because in the past, and I believe even as it is now, there are powerful people, ministers, CEOs, and others whose wives, and if they are women, they themselves would prefer to go and give birth abroad because they want their kids to be citizens of another country. I think that it's time we really deal with our mindset and know that we can build our country by ourselves. And that calls for honesty, that calls for integrity, that calls for sincerity. Otherwise, we'll be in this forever until we completely destroy ourselves.
Mr. Brima has brought up something that I think we can explore. The point about people thinking that they can, destroy the environment and take their kids outside of the country. Must we probably get the embassies to say, we'll now investigate your source of funding that you present to us? And I want to come to you, Dr. Asante, on this one. Must we get the embassies to come in and help to say that if you present your bank account or your bank statement to us, we'll check to know exactly where the monies that are sitting in your account are coming from? If they are related to mining, we'll not grant you the visa. Can that be a way?
No, you can dictate to the embassies as to what they should do. They know their job and they know what policy they are pursuing here. And so that is a no. If we have to fix the problem ourselves here, I mean, you can't tell you are leaving your problem and anticipating that somebody will fix it for you. It doesn't work anywhere. You have to fix it yourself. The real issues about Galamsey is a lot has been said by my brother Sule. That look, sincerity is key.
Okay.
Right? We know those who are engaged in this, except that we don't want to touch them. The tools that they use for illegal small-scale mining are not cutlasses and hoes, for that matter. They are very big equipment and all that, and they are visible. They are there. People saw them moving them into those sites.
Okay.
And Brahma quickly said it. Like, look, you have the BNI, you have all the security apparatus in all the places that illegal mining is going on. What is happening? And I will, add that, look, it's not that the security are not working. That one, I will defend them every day. The political actors will not let them work. I tell you, go and look at NIB, their report. The CID, their report about this thing. They report. But somebody must take action. That person will not. And he becomes what? Complicit. I have always said that if we want to deal with this problem, it is stakeholder engagement. And I'm happy what Media Foundation is doing, putting the stakeholders together. At the end of the day, they will be blunt. But then, where do we go from there? You need a political will that those who have been entrusted with political power get the courage and say that enough is enough and that we are going to fix the problem once and for all. If we don't get it, all the things we are talking will be just a thing of the past. It will not work any magic for us.
Okay.
So we need people. Look, issue of people leaving this country, people will continue to leave the country. It doesn't matter, even if the economy is improved, somebody can leave for very good reasons.
Okay.
And we can't stop that. People have the right to move. But the real issue is that, look, when you look at some of the things that is happening, look at even the youth who are in the pit. Sometimes, brazenly, they challenge the security apparatus. That we are doing this. We dare you to come over. Do you know the meaning of this? It is a protest against the state. That, look, you people who are political office holders, you are enjoying all manner of working conditions, perks and all that. We have nothing. And that is the only means of livelihood. I'm not saying this to glorify what they are doing. No. But as a student of politics, I am just explaining. So it's a protest against the state. So the long, term effect or the long-term solution for that matter is that we need to fix poverty in this country so that we discourage people in this regard. And we can do so when we even engage the youth in this area by giving them license, train them properly, and making sure that they do the right things. Once they do that, they get employed, we get resources and all that, and there must be monitoring of these processes, right? If we are able to do this, I think we'll be able to reduce the incidence of Galamsey in this country and also help our environment, because I'm worried. Now look at you, listen to the European Union country director. The statement is said about the effect of Galamsey on our export. For me, that is what is a big issue for us. If cocoa is not, we are not able to sell cocoa because it contains some heavy metals, we are dead. I mean, if farmlands, arable lands, lands are destroyed in the name of Galamsey, then where do we go from here? Now we move from Ghana to go and buy tomatoes from a desert area, Burkina Faso. I mean, how do you see that? And when you put this thing on the whole issue of the fact that, look, this is a country that we have all the resources. Look at gold. It's virtually almost everywhere in this country you have gold. And yet you have a cap in hand going around the world looking for resources to come and build your country. That's a paradox.
All right.
You need to run away from this.
I'm grateful to you. Let's get into the papers and start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. On page 4, it says, desist from media prosecution. Minority in Parliament urges AG. The story says the minority in Parliament has called on the Attorney General, Mr. Dominic Ayine, to desist from media prosecution of individuals alleged to have been involved in the embezzlement of state funds and allow the court to look into the issues. Speaking at a news conference at Parliament yesterday, the legal advisor to the minority and member of Parliament for Swami, Mr. John Darko, said the media prosecution by the Attorney General created a negative perception in the minds of citizenry about the individuals involved in the matter. Additionally, he said that the actions of the Attorney General violated the fair trial principle under Article 19 of the 1992 Constitution. And I want to start from you, Mr. Suleiman Abraham, because you are involved when it comes to media freedom, and you are in there. Where do we draw the line between transparency and media prosecution, as has been alleged by the minority in Parliament? Mr. Brima.
Well, so when I heard media prosecution, I actually was thinking that their advice was that the AG should not be trying to prosecute journalists for their work, but of course, I mean what is being talked about is the press conferences that the AG holds from time to time to update the nation on the status of investigations and actions that are being taken in connection with those, cases. And I think, some people are not happy about it because it creates the impression that people are guilty, people have looted, people have caused financial loss to the states, and those affected are not happy. I mean, their point is, why don't we deal with this in court? Why do you present our case to the public before we even go to the courts? But I can also understand the Attorney General, because there is so much pressure on the AG from citizens in terms of, so what is happening with Operation Recover or Loot? What's happened with all the issues of corruption that we've heard about? We want to see prosecution and so on. I don't think that the AG can be bluntly quiet on that and say to himself and to his colleagues at the department that, well, when we are ready, we'll go to court. And so you could see that the last press conference, for example, the AG had to make the point that for those who are clamoring for prosecution and urging him to act, they need to do proper investigations before they present matters to the courts. And of course, in doing so, the AG thinks that, well, it's also important to let the public know the cases that they have filed, what discoveries that they've made. I think people can be unhappy, but we see some of those things also happen in the US and in Europe. But of course, at the end of the day, the real place to deal with the matters are in the courtrooms.
Now, their point is that some of the pronouncement makes the accused come across as though they've been convicted to have committed those crimes. And they feel, well, if you have evidence, go to court and get them pronounced, so that you don't create in the minds of citizens that these people are thieves when the court has not pronounced them as such.
Well, for cases that are yet to be filed, I can understand. But for the ones that are filed, I believe that whatever the AG says will be contained in the charge sheet, will be contained in the documents that they have filed in court. So, for example, if the AG says that Mr. A caused financial loss of 10 million Ghana cedis, that will be something that can be found in the papers that are filed in court. If it's about a charge of stealing, I'm sure it will be the same thing that is stated in the documents that will be filed in court. If it's about discovery of assets, I believe it will be about the same thing. And at that point, cases that are filed in courts no longer remain a secret. The media can report on them. And if the media were to take them up, I mean, it will be about Mr. A is accused of stealing 10 million, causing financial loss of 20 million, having acquired properties in ABC without justification, assets have been frozen, and so on and so forth. So essentially, it's about what is contained in the charge sheets that I believe usually we are told. Just that, as I said, for cases that are yet to be filed, maybe it's important that those pieces of information are withheld until the charges are filed, so that it becomes a public information, and the documents will be available to the public.
Okay, all right. Grateful to you. Let me come to you, Professor Ojo from the University of Cape Coast. Prof, what's your own reading as well of this call by the minority that take their cases to court before you come to the media or the public to create the impression that the people have stolen when the court has not pronounced such?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think this issue has generated what we call two schools of thoughts, which my brother Brahma was trying to talk about. And the first school of thought, which I think is coming from the minority leader, is actually against what the Attorney General is doing. And I quite agree with him. And I'm trying to see some of the reasons he raised. And the first argument I think he's trying to raise is that it seems it is undermining the presumption of innocence. And that's to say that those that have been paraded are supposed to be presumed innocent until proven by
a court of competent jurisdiction.
Law of jurisdiction. Then they're trying to see in line with him is about the AG compromising the fairness of the trial by influencing judges or what have you. And the other one is there any political tone in what the AG is actually doing? And these are, I think, fair arguments on the part of the minority leader. And when you look at those who may be in favor, they are actually seeing it from the transparency or public trust point of view, that the Attorney General is trying to be transparent, is trying to let the public know what they found in the course of conducting their investigation. And secondly, on the part of those who may favor what he's doing, the AG is actually mandated and has the right to inform the general public about whatever they found out in the course of their investigation. So I now ask myself, do we have precedent? Has some of these things happened in the past? And from my research, there have been possibly cases like that where the AG comes out, organizes media presentations where he informs the general public of ongoing investigation. So to submit, I think the crux of the matter is for the AG to, first of all, look at what the minority leader is saying, which is in view of what those who are against his processes of trying to prosecute the accused persons, and also look at what those who are supposed to be given fair hearing. And as my brother Brahma said, when the cases are being tendered in court, that is when they can be proven whether innocent or guilty. Thank you.
Well, but when the public also is to be taken along in terms of being informed of what the AG is about, a lot of people are calling for action. The AG says, I'm updating you on what's happening. Is that wrong for the AG to be doing? To say that we are prosecuting Mr. A and B in court? What is wrong about that?
I think it's the slowness associated with the prosecution. Remember, some have been charged before and the process is taking forever. Ora was constituted somewhere in, I think after the NDC government came into power.
No, they actually started in December before they even were sworn into power.
They were sworn into power. So the general public is interested in the prosecution, that if you have enough evidence that these people have perpetrated any act of corruption, why don't you take them to court? And I think what the AG is doing is actually preparing the minds of the general public about what they found out, which would actually lead to eventual prosecution at the right court.
Okay. Let me bring you in, Dr. Kwame Asante, and pick your thought on this. Now, the minority thinks that under the guise of the accountability series, the Attorney General has blatantly violated the privacy right of persons involved in his investigations. And they say that this media trial has created in the mind of an ordinary Ghanaian the guilt of persons under investigation. Is that how you see it when the Attorney General comes out to update the public on the sort of investigations they're doing and the cases they are in court with?
Yeah, I think I share in the opinion of the minority,
Okay.
even though I'm not a lawyer, but the lawyers continue to educate us that whenever an issue is before court or is about to go to court, you can't pronounce anybody guilty unless it is only the court of proper jurisdiction that can say that this person is guilty, this person is not. So if you look at what is happening now, yes, there are two issues. The AG wants the public to know what has happened or what has happened, and which is our right, because the public has the right to know. Our money finance the sustenance of the court, and we are the basis of the law. We determine what law should be in society to regulate our conduct. So for that matter, if there is an infringement of any of the laws in the country, we expect to know what has happened. But that said, all right, once the matter is not in courts, and you are talking about it, it must be a charge or an accused person. You are accusing them of a wrongdoing, and you are going to court for the court to confirm your thoughts or your accusation or deny that. That's a very simple matter. So on that basis, some people cannot be described in certain terms that suggest that they are guilty before going to court. Otherwise, then what is the essence of going to court? Because already the person is guilty, all right? But you and I know that charges are preferred against some people, but when they go to court, they are set free. How do you reverse that image which the public has in terms of its negativity on that individual? So, because let's flip the coin this way. That imagine that Attorney General is not in this position, and his clients, he has clients that the state Attorney General is using the language that the people are talking about against his client. The first thing he would do is to go to court and tell the court that my client's rights are being abused, so and so. I was trying to get a story to back, and your team can give us, because I remember when Dr. Ini was the counsel for Tagore, I think he issued a certain warning to the public relative to comments and all that. I want, if your team can go in there and give us, so that it can refresh our minds. So we want to, yes, much as the Attorney General is doing his work, we want him to stay away from prejudicial comments. All right, you present the case, because I know how intelligent the Attorney General is, how professional he is. He can do this without saying some of the things that people are raising questions about. That these things are charges, these are things we have found, but the proper forum is the courts, and the court with them. For now, it is only allegation and all that. And I'm sure if the language is couched in this way, their lawyers, those individuals concerned, will not be worried, because the proper forum is the court. And the Attorney General has superior knowledge of these things more than I do. And so if the language can be cast in a certain manner that will not, condemn the people before going to court, describing them in certain terms that it's not in line with what lawyers know, then that's it. But we also, as a public, there is nothing wrong for Attorney General to update us as to what is it that we need to know relative to how people manage, the affairs of the state, what are the infractions of the state and all that. We also are entitled to know. We have the right to know. So it's a delicate balance, but I know that Attorney General, professional as he is, experienced as he is, he will be able to navigate his way through this, difficult line and be able to present the matter to court, and then we take it from there. But I always want to look at it from it that if the Attorney General happened to be a lawyer for those people, and these things are said in the way he says them, what will be his response? Okay,
I think I've seen that. It's a very long statement there. So
yeah, if you can read the intro, if it gives us something for us to ponder over.
Well, it says our attention has been drawn. I don't know if that's the same thing, But our attention has been drawn to a press release dated July 30, 2009, on the above-mentioned case issued by the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice. The said press statement raises a number of disturbing issues regarding the acquittal and discharge of our client, Mr. Kwabena Amening, a.k.a. Tagore. Issues that touch the very basis of our criminal justice system. We wish to respond directly to some of these issues raised, but before we do so, we wish to take the opportunity to comment on more generally on the unanimous decision of the court. Okay, so that's before they came to the real issue by the Attorney General. Okay, but I mean,
I think it was something about,
yeah.
I have forgotten, but I think I followed the news, and if I'm wrong, people should correct me. It's about comments that people were making, and then they issue something like, I wanted us to get that one so that it can refresh all of us, our minds. Yes.
Okay.
It's a comment that people were commenting, and then I remember on TV he was saying that he's being instructed by his client to say, I've forgotten the details. I'm sorry about that.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the CD, because yesterday we celebrated the CD at 60, and the Vice President says, let's sustain the stability. I want to find out that beyond, I mean, we saw beautiful pageantry on display. Beyond the talk of the beautiful pageantry, are we doing what matters to keep the city stable? Dr. Asante, maybe you start from us and I'll go to Mr. Brima.
Yeah, please, can you repeat the question?
I'm asking that beyond the talk, the Vice President said we should sustain the stability. Are we doing what is right to ensure that the city is stable for us as a country?
I am not an economist, but I am a human being, and all our activities are driven by economics one way or the other. So I don't need to be Adam Smith or anybody close to what economics, but at least the basics is that when people talk about all the economic fundamentals, we continue to hear time and again, right? My only worry is that, does it reflect in our lives? If the city is stable, what is the impact on our life? That is a critical question we need to know. All right. If the city, they talk about all the healthy conditions we find ourselves, and I go to market and things are difficult, and at the end of the day, I'm not able to transact business and get my returns. At the end of the day, interest rate is high, and for that matter, it undermines business and all that. Then what happens to economics? So from a political economy point of view, I believe that, look, economics must be driven by politics. Politics take the decision. Economics is technical. And then we should be able to handle it in such a way that we get a better life. Because the essence of governance is to make sure that life becomes easy to manage and that we have opportunity to make things better for ourselves and improve our lives. And for me, that is where I am coming from. Okay. So yes, they can talk about single-digit inflation and ask, what is the situation on the market? What is the situation on the field? How are people feeling this? So they can say all the good things, but at the end of the day, me as an ordinary person, my relationship with that, phenomenon should be able to what? It should lead to something that will improve my lot. Otherwise, all the theories, all the commentary becomes what? Meaningless.
Okay.
We have seen in this country efforts by political parties when they don't have power. They want to convince us that when given mandates, they will turn our economic fortunes around. And we have seen also effort by the same political parties when they come to power. A few years, you see them doing everything possible to make sure that the economy's health is fine, and then we get our basis right, our fundamentals are okay, and then life improves. The same political actors, when we are going for election, they are prepared to destroy the country with all manner of activities that undermine the very healthy economy that they built. So you realize that we are caught in a very cyclical problem where we build, destroy, we build, destroy. So you ask yourself, at what point will this, phenomenon get broken? And for me, that is a worrying situation. Today, you are seeing that the government is able to what? Maintain physical discipline. We are seeing some improvement and all that. And even though people from the other side of the political divide are saying that all these things, the government should show to them that there is a single policy that is driving this. I'm not an economist, but when I follow logic, those statements do not make sense to me at all. Because you see, you can give 1 million to somebody to manage. If the person is a bad manager, the person will end up depleting that resource and then going into negative, in other words, borrowing for you to come and pay. But if you have a good manager, all things being equal, he can manage it. Even if he's not going to make profit, he can stay at par and make sure that there is no loss, there's no profit. All right. It's like you having a good teacher compared to a bad teacher. A good teacher, it doesn't, even if a child is poor, you'll be able to bring that child to a scratch. But if you have a very bad teacher, even the excellent student, you end up destroying them. So I see those who are saying that government should show one policy. They should answer this question. One policy that has sustained this. The policy is that if you have a bad manager, it doesn't matter how much resource you give to that person, the person would deplete it without any reason. Okay. So all that I want to say is that, look, they are talking about economy is improving and all that. We want to see improvement in our lives. Okay. Then we can attest to the fact that, yes, economy is in top shape. Okay. But if we don't see that there is a disconnect, then I'm afraid all those things we are talking about we will not see. Because the cocoa seller, all your metrics, you talk about economics, all your standards you are using in economics, the cocoa seller is not alive to that. All that the cocoa seller is alive to that, he goes to the market and find raw materials for his work, for her work, and they are within reach. He's able to buy. And when he add one or two to it, he can also make a living for herself and the family. If that doesn't happen, economic theory becomes meaningless.
All right, I'm grateful to you. Let me bring in Mr. Suleiman Brahima. Mr. Brahima, I mean, in terms of we are all talking about how to sustain the gains that the city is making. But one thing we're not looking at is how people earn in Ghana, but are pricing they do business in Ghana, but are pricing their services and goods in dollars. Is there a way we can control that? Because when you go to South Africa, for example, I don't know much about the country, but you are made to convert your dollar into rand so you can buy. Can't we do same in this country so that we can really sustain the gains the city is making?
Well, in terms of the specific issue that you raise, I think for the last couple of months, various organizations and entities that would typically be pricing in dollars have all reverted in cedis. I mean, there were hotels in Ghana that were pricing in dollars because of the instability and all of that. There were schools that were pricing in dollars and other service providers that were pricing in dollars. And even at the ports, which is a state entity, I think when cars are to be cleared, they would always peg the charges against the dollar. So depending on how the dollar is doing, your price goes up or down. So I think we are seeing quite some reduction in that kind of practice. And I believe that if the city remains stable, we would get to a particular point in time where people may not be engaged in that practice anymore. Okay. But for me, what is of significance to me is CD is 60 and so what? Or CD is 40 or 70 or 50 and so what? I really don't get it. It may be important maybe to ask questions about how much was spent in organizing this whole celebration and whether that amount couldn't have been used to provide some service to some specific communities or specific individuals who are facing some critical issues. I think that as a developing country, we also tend to spend time and resources on things that maybe people like us, it really doesn't matter. Are we going to have a situation where the US is celebrating maybe the dollar at 200, or Britain is going to be celebrating the pound at 150 years or whatever number of years that the pound has been? I think some of these, maybe it's some of us, but I don't see the relevance.
Yeah. Well, the question about how much, yesterday someone was talking to me and said maybe we need to find out how much we are spending on that particular ceremony, because it was quite heavy. So you're not alone. Some other people are thinking along the same lines. Professor Joe, let me come to you. But Mr. Brahma, you want to say something?
No, it's fine.
Okay, let me go to Professor Joe. Prof, what's your own take on CDR 60?
Thank you very much, my brother. And I think it's something we have to interrogate very clearly. As my colleague, Dr. Ansan rightly said, I'm not an economist, but the stable dollar is affecting me as a usual traveler and as a Ghanaian. I remember when dollar was 17, 18 to a dollar, and I had to travel. I know how much I had to cough out then in CD equivalent. And you rightly said something about South Africa. It's a country I've been to several times. And when it comes to a country that values its currency, South Africa is one of such countries. And I must commend the current government for the initiative and for what they've been doing so far to make sure we have a better exchange rate in terms of CD to dollar. The Ghana at 60, the CD at 60 celebration, and one of the anchors that I heard being mentioned there is trying to de-dollarize the country. And my brother, one of the
Mr.
panelists made mention.
Mr. Brimer.
Mr. Brimer.
Yeah,
made mention of a number of the real estate industries, a number of machines that were initially charging in dollars have reverted to charging in Ghana cedis. And this is actually what I think may actually help us in getting to where we are going to. You remember when you look at even some of the government appointees or former government appointees who have been prosecuted, and you hear of certain amounts of dollars being used to purchase properties in Ghana, you ask yourself, are we in the US where you spend 1 million or 500,000 or 700,000 in getting these properties? I remember there was a time, I want to recall properly, somewhere in 2015, 2013, thereabout, whereby a government appointee was saying that, oh, I don't remember who the person is, if he or she amass $3 million,
that's I think Vicky, is it Vicky Hammer? I've forgotten the name, but yeah, a young lady like that in government. Yeah. During the Mahama one. So I asked myself, that is the kind of power in the US dollar. Imagine if you convert some of these monies being used to acquire properties being investigated by the current regime. You ask yourself, change it to the current exchange rate, which is about, I think, $12 or less $11. Sometimes I want to understand those who quote in dollars because of the competitive edge. What happens tomorrow if the dollar or CD depreciates? At least they will still have their dollars. The Ghanaians have to rally support for the local currency. I want Ghanaians to trade in CD only, and enough of dollarization. Personally, anytime I see or I visit a hotel or I go to a place and I see dollars being the mode of transaction, I feel like when you go to certain countries in Africa, they don't accept dollars as a mode of exchange. You have to go to
a forest bureau to change your money. And I think with some of these initiatives we put in place by the current government, I see the CD getting stronger and stronger by the day. Thank you.
All right, grateful to you, Professor Joe there. Dr. Asante, let me now take you to Parliament, because the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights has given Parliament 2 weeks to act on Family Values Bill as it threatens nationwide action over further delay. Is this a realistic, how realistic is this target of a 2 weeks ultimatum to Parliament to deal with this bill?
It depends upon where we are now, because I have also listened from the leaders of the House, including the Speaker, where the leader, Mahama Yaraga, said that as far as he's concerned, they are done with the bill. But the Speaker said otherwise.
Yes.
That there are a few things to be done about it.
The Speaker says the 8th Parliament is history, and all business in the 8th Parliament has come to an end. And so the Speaker has announced that anti-LGBTQI plus bill will have to be reintroduced to the House.
Yes. So if it is reintroduced, there's a process that I'm sure is going to go through and all that. I don't see it as a problem, but ultimatum, yes, the group is exercising their right of, getting to know all these things and then making sure that the bill that they presented will see light of day as a law. There's no problem on that. But they cannot give ultimatum as it force the hand of Parliament to do things against what their plan. No, that cannot happen. Parliament has its own means of working. There is always that, committee that looks at what Parliament would do at a point in time. They go and meet, discuss, and then the business of Parliament is put on paper, and then they follow it. So I don't blame any of the actors within this issue. Those who organize the press conference is within their right to demand any law that they deem fit will regulate the conduct of people and make life better for us. Parliament also, as an institution on its own, will have all its own plan as to how they do things. And at the end of the day, when that one is done, it gets to the executive for assent. As at now, we will watch and see how it unfolds. But the issue about LGBTQ and all that, there are a whole lot of issues about it. And I don't know how they are going to handle it, right? You realize that political actors before elections, civil society groups force them to hear their views on the LGBT+. You recall, one of the churches asked Mr. Mahama, if you are giving the mandate, what would you do in that? And Nana Akufo-Addo, all of them spoke, right? But it's one thing saying what you want to say on a political platform, and then within the international space, when you are also faced with a threat from other communities, that if you don't do A, we will not give you this and all that. All these things come to mind or shape my thinking into believing that I know from international politics perspective, the political space within the global community is chaotic. There are bullies. There are people who bully you into taking certain decisions against your will, simply because you are always there with a cap in hand, looking for arms to be given to you, so you cannot, control your own destiny there. You also have pressure within local communities that they say, hey, this is against our cultural rights, and that we don't want to see and all that. How do you balance the two becomes a problem. If you take any of the sides, are you prepared for consequence and all that? So it's a very murky situation. But the good news is that if you're listening to the political actors from both sides of the political divide, they give us the impression that they are for this bill that will sanitize the system, that will also keep our culture intact and then preserve the sanctity of our culture as well. It is my hope and prayer that all the things they said in support of this bill, they will not run away from it, but they will support it and shepherd it to the promised land.
Okay.
But having taken that decision, they are also prepared to meet the consequence of their action within the global community, and they have what it takes to be able to maintain themselves within the global space.
All right. Let me bring in Mr. Brima here. Mr. Brima, I mean, from all that we've heard about this bill, compromises here and there, how confident are you that this could become a law in this country?
Well, I think what's important is to ensure that whatever piece of legislation that we are putting forward would be a legislation that is necessary, relevant, and the process of getting it in place follows due process and procedure. I don't think that we should make pieces of legislation on the basis of emotions, on the basis of partisanship, and on the basis of how a particular piece of law would favor or disadvantage the political fortunes of a party in opposition or a party in power. Increasingly, I am beginning to feel that this particular bill or this particular the processes around this particular legislation is being given some political connotations. Because I remember listening to some of the MPs recently, and it was about, oh, you were running away from it, now you do it. Oh, you do it because you were running away from it, and all of that. I think it was the minority leader that I heard even talk about, I think he was referring to the education minister and saying that, you guys were prepared for it, and now you are a minister and you know the consequences of having this piece of legislation passed because your international donors and supporters would now come after you and all of that. I mean, why should we be working on a piece of legislation and be thinking about the implications if we think it's something that is right for our country? If it was wrong then, it must be wrong now. If it was right then, it must be right now. And I think what is important is for Parliament to really go through the processes of legislation, rather than, it was passed before and it must be done or dealt with within the next 1 week or 2 weeks, otherwise this and that. I think we need to put the emotions aside and recognize that whatever it is, we need to go through the processes.
Okay.
I'm not a legislator, I'm not a lawyer, but I think it is common knowledge that when the life of a particular parliament expires, processes that were undertaken by that parliament, except if it became a law. But if it never became a law, we cannot say that, oh, it was passed by the previous parliament and therefore, it is the same Ghanaian parliament and let us just have it passed. I think the common practice is that it has to go through the process again. And so if that is what it is, let's all be patient and let it go through the process. And of course, if there are comments and questions that we need to ask as part of the process, because the previous processes involved, external consultations and all of that, perhaps we need to subject it to all that. Since then, have things changed? And this is a human rights law. And so matters of human rights, we need to be really very careful about how we go about it. So that's what I would say.
I'm grateful to you, Mr. Brima, and thanks to you, Dr. Kwame Asante and Professor Joe as well for joining us on News Review. This is the AM show brought to you by the Kenoga Company Limited and also by Syntex Tanks. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more. Please do stay.